Hello folks, and welcome to Paddock Pass for the 2019 Chinese Grand Prix. Welcome to Shanghai on this, the occasion of Formula One's 1000th race. Or as we should probably put it, as we will get picked up by pedants or interminable bores, the 1000th race whose result has gone towards deciding who wins the Formula One World Drivers' Championship. Wouldn't make as good a poster though, would it? So, the 1000th Grand Prix. All right? Good. Cool. Should we start down at Williams, Steve? Let's start down at Williams. Tricky start to the season, as we all know. For Williams, doesn't look like getting any easier this weekend. Still short on parts, still short on pace. Georgie Russell and Robert Kubica, Kimi Räikkönen, we'll talk to him in a little bit. Testing occurred between the Bahrain Grand Prix and arriving here in China. George Russell managed to both top and bottom the timing sheets. Top in the Mercedes, bottom for Williams. So he's got a little bit of experience of what it is to drive a very good race-winning car for 2019, and also what can be described only as the weakest car in Formula One. We're starting, though, talking to him about a new helmet this weekend, as all of the drivers have been given a joker for this weekend. You're only allowed to change your helmet, I think, once during the season. They've been allowed to change it for free for this weekend if they wanted to. And, of course, George Russell, British driver racing for the fine British team that is Williams, had only one choice in mind when deciding to whom he would pay tribute with his 1000th Grand Prix helmet.
So when I first started karting, I copied my brother's helmet from when he used to race, and I only found out about 8 years ago that his helmet was inspired from Juan Pablo Montoya, from when he raced at Williams actually. So I thought, ex-Williams driver, Montoya was one of my favourite F1 drivers of all time. I thought it'd be quite nice to do Juan Pablo Montoya helmet.
Awesome stuff. Right, it's been a tricky first couple of races. I think that's a polite way of putting it for the team. After the test, are we any closer to understanding of the car or moves forward?
I think it's very clear our limitations, our issues, but we've got to go out and try and fix that now. And it's not as simple as, right, we know the issue, we wake up tomorrow and it's going to be sorted. In F1 these things take time. Just to make parts, to make a front wing, it takes weeks. So it's like I said, it's not, you can't just wake up the next day and turn it around and produce that to be there.
One of the issues, it seemed, over the first couple of races is that Robert feels he's got a very different car to you. Did you learn anything in that test as to why that might be?
No, I think we did a lot of things in the test to try and understand that, and I think we gathered some very good information, so he can probably expand on that.
Going into this race then, what are the hopes? Can you ride this thing over the curbs? Have you got enough parts to do that in practice at least?
No, well, I'm not holding back, to be honest. I'm just going out driving it like a normal car and trying to rag everything out of it really. So like I said, what will be, and I won't be holding back. I think realistically, P19 is my aim for this weekend, because we are so far behind everybody else that even if we did something incredible, we can't really overhaul 1 second or whatever it is to the next car.
Tricky times at Williams, and as George himself says, P19 in qualifying will be a good result for him. So expectations not high. Expectations are quite high though down here at Toro Rosso. It's been an interesting start to the season for them, and very much a learning process for Alex Albon, another young driver in his early races in Formula One, who's got an interesting lid this weekend for the 1000th Grand Prix. We'll talk to him about that, and also about that learning process coming into Formula One, learning about the team, learning about the processes, and how quickly he's actually finding his feet in the sport.
It's been going very well. There's still things to improve always, but I'm happy with it. I think FP1s, FP2s, FP3s I've been struggling a little bit, and then making a step for qualifying. I'd rather that be less the case and be a bit more on it earlier on in the weekend. But I'm happy with the progress, so it's going well. In terms of just everything else, no, it's going well. I forget the second part.
the baseline of the car, how good do you feel it is, and what do you think you can achieve with what you've got at your disposal?
Yeah, I think obviously that midfield, that's where we are now. I'd say Haas looks very strong on that side of the midfield, but we saw in race pace in Bahrain they're vulnerable, like all of us are, to being overtaken by the guys behind. It's so close there. I think when you're not quite on it, it's very easy to lose positions. I think we are smack bang in the middle. I really think in Bahrain we should have been in Q3. There was something that wasn't quite right in Q2, which we realised a bit too late. But saying that, we should have been in Q3, because then it just makes your life a lot easier. We're so close, everyone in the midfield. It's like you're this pack of cars that just kind of almost get boxed in, and it's hard to do everything, because you undercut and everyone else undercuts, you overcut, everyone's overcutting. So if we can just qualify a little bit higher up, we'll hopefully have missed that kind of messy midfield part.
There's some lovely pieces of memorabilia around the paddock this weekend for the 1000th race. Here, 10 helmets for 10 World Championships. 3, of course, for Ayrton Senna. 7 for Michael Schumacher. They, of course, aren't his 7 World Championship winning lids. Same, they're not the 3 World Championship winning lids for Ayrton, because those are all Mercedes lids for Michael. That's his first lid, 91. Pretty cool. I like that. Classic. You know the drivers are changing their helmets this weekend. There is, of course, the belief that if you change your lid, it's bad luck. 1998, Michael Schumacher, Japanese Grand Prix, of course, changed to that chrome lid, and it all went a bit pear-shaped in that race, didn't it? Yes, it did. Anyway, some beautiful pieces of memorabilia there. That one's signed. Is it locked? If it goes missing, it's in my hotel room. Some beautiful pieces of memorabilia all through the paddock. Let's talk to... we saw him at the top of the show walking through. Let's talk to Kimi Räikkönen. It's so close in the midfield at the moment between everybody. Oh, look, some trophies. Now that's a bit cool. 1956, Peter Collins, British Grand Prix trophy. That's a bit cool, isn't it? There we go. Alain Prost's from the Canadian Grand Prix. Where were we? Talking about Kimi, that's it. Points in the early races. Not quite as competitive as I think we were all expecting Alfa Romeo to be, but very much in that battle with the McLarens, with the Haases, who were slightly off form in Bahrain. We'll talk to them in a little bit as well. Where does he see them? What's the job that they've got to do? Where can they improve? Lots I think to talk to Kimi about, really, to ask about after these early races. With him still, I think, sort of finding his feet, moving from a very big operation like Ferrari to a much smaller operation that is Alfa Romeo.
Yeah, I didn't really expect awful lot, so we went into the weekends and like we're gonna go all of them, then we will try to do our maximum and then see what we get in the end of the race on Sunday. But I think hindsight, when you look, I think we could have got a little bit better on both races, but we'll take what we got and we try to keep improving and climbing upwards.
You've gone from the biggest team in Formula One to one of the smallest. How have processes changed when you ask for things to change on the car? Does it work very similarly? Do you notice any big changes?
Obviously, certain things takes more longer. Certain things are more tricky because it's just purely less people. There might be one guy doing a few different jobs that in the bigger teams you have maybe a couple of guys doing all the jobs. So there's a much more resource on those things. But then on the other hand, some certain things are more easy because there's less people, easy to get through what you want because there's less people to deciding it. So it's some places are good, some a bit more tricky, but I think sometimes maybe the first weeks you wanted something and basically you wanted to on the same day, but it's gonna take a little bit time, but so far everything has been very good. So we know that the big things takes longer than in a bigger team, but we're very capable of building parts on our own, and obviously they designed the car and built the car apart from the gearbox and engine, everything, so they know what they're doing, and it's getting better all the time.
Interesting to hear from Kimi. Of course, his teammate Antonio Giovinazzi just wants to have a better Chinese Grand Prix than the last one he contested. Of course, remember he in his first run at Formula One had such a good Australian Grand Prix and then turned up here and promptly kept binning the thing. So yeah, just hoping for a clean weekend is Antonio Giovinazzi. And so to Sport Pacer Racing Point. Had a little chat to Lance Stroll earlier. He's finding it not difficult, but I think he's one of these drivers that's still finding his feet really with the new outfit. And one of the big things for him is throughout his entire junior career and his years with Williams, he had a driver coach and he had Luca Baldesseri there as his engineer and really, being that team around him. He doesn't have that with him this year, so he's really having to find his feet, learn new processes, and it's a period of growing up for him. It's what he needs to stand on his own 2 feet in Formula One, but I think he's finding that a little bit difficult, certainly, to find his place at the moment. Sergio Perez knows these guys inside out. Both drivers, though, agreed that with 2-point scoring finishes in the first 2 races of the year with a car which wasn't really where they wanted it to be in testing, and they only really got in Australia, I think something of a surprise for those first 2 races, but some real positivity, as Sergio is about to explain.
I think our team is magic, with how we deal with the strategies and so on, and that's the key to it, because when you don't have a good car, you have to take the most out of it. And if you ask me now to have 3 points, be in the position that we are relative to everyone else, I think it's a fantastic start of the season with the tools we have at the moment. We just have to keep getting better. Remember, it's a long season, and at the end of the day, we want to be the best midfield team, so we just have to keep developing quicker than others and hopefully get on top of our issues. I think the upgrade in Melbourne didn't brought what we were expecting, so yeah, hopefully in Barcelona we can do another big step.
Everybody was expecting the new investments, the new owners of the team to really have an effect on how quick you were able to bring those developments. Have you started to see the influence of that already this year?
You see it, but it's not straight away related to track performance. It will take time, and we have to be patient. I think we're putting everything in place, and sooner than later we will be where we want to, and hopefully sooner rather than later. So things are getting there. I think I'm optimistic. When I compare this to, for example, 2016, we were in a similar situation, and then by the time we went to Baku, I already had 2 podiums, one in Monaco, one in Baku. So it's a long year. We cannot make any assumptions right now. It's very close, a battle. To do a big step, we only need a couple of tenths. So it's too early, and I'm still very optimistic that we're going to meet our targets this year.
Do you think people underestimate the lead times that things in Formula One take, and the fact that the team was in such an uncertain position for so long last year is still ultimately affecting where the team can be now?
Oh yeah, definitely. It's all relative to performance, So we just got the new ownership in place not long ago, 6 months or something. So yeah, I think things in Formula One take too long of a time, unfortunately. But I see, as I say, good perspective for the rest of the year, and we should be by Abu Dhabi where we want to.
Not many teams have more success over the 1,000 race history of Formula One than McLaren. These guys, though, trying desperately to re-find that form that saw them become such a powerhouse in the sport. They've got a great young driver on their books in Lando Norris, who's impressed everybody in his first 2 outings for the team. I'm sure you saw that little video of his overtake on the opening lap around the outside. I spoke to him about that today. He wasn't expecting it at all. He said he'd been braking very late into that corner. Turn 4, you can either V it or U it. And there's 2 different lines around the corner. He said he was Uing it around for the weekend, and it just got caught out and braked much later than everybody else, and was sort of hanging on to it around the outside. He's a great overtaker, Lando. It's something we've come to know of him from his junior career. And And any time that anybody sort of replays on the internet a video of him overtaking somebody around the outside, he replies with a GIF of Adele singing, I won't attempt to sing it, Hello from the Outside. That's Lando's thing. Anyway, which he promptly did reply to that video that F1 had posted during the week. Right, let's talk to Carlos, because if Lando's had a good couple of races, Carlos has had, I think, a frustrating couple of races. Got the qualifying sorted out in Bahrain, but then had that coming together with Max Verstappen. Much has been discussed about that. But also, of course, the fact that the car picked up an issue that would have seen him retire anyway. So is it frustration with the loss of points potential over those first few races, or does the fact that he's got a good car underneath him fill him with some decent confidence going forward?
If I look at the points table, I would be very frustrated, but very proud of how the team is working, how I've adapted very quickly to the car, how fast I am and how comfortable I am with the car. That gives me really good confidence and really good mental stability in that way to know the points will eventually come. I'm a bit more keen on getting the car to be a bit more reliable, because we would have DNF'd anyway in Bahrain despite the clash with Max, and we did DNF in lap 10 in Australia, so there's still a lot of weaknesses and a lot of things to improve inside the team, which we need to keep pushing. And but for the rest, I'm very happy.
Cool. The little incident with Max, was that you just showing him that your elbows were out?
Well, it was just me trying to overtake, and I was fairly ahead on the braking point, and I just turned in thinking I was clearly ahead because of that DRS effect was huge. On that back straight with the headwind, and I think I did the best I could on my chances to overtake Max. He obviously is a very strong defender and he's always on the limit, but fair play. I have no regrets. I would try again if you give me a chance, and I did enjoy the fight, yeah.
The team said that those kind of positions and fighting with the Red Bulls aren't your expectation going forward. What are your expectations going forward? Where do you think you are?
Well, I think actually the team was very happy to see me fighting a Red Bull. I think the team expects me to fight anyone if I have a chance in track, and if it's a Red Bull, even better, because it means we're doing good. So I'm not gonna back off just because it's a Red Bull. We are P5 and we need to bring the car home. No, I'm gonna fight with anyone if I get the chance this year. That's why I think McLaren hired me, and that's why I think I want to be a Formula 1 driver, no? And yeah, I'm enjoying myself. Even after the clash, I thought back on it and I said, no, I would have tried again, 100%. And I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying my time, and that's the important bit, especially knowing that I would have DNF'd. I didn't miss any points by doing that.
But in terms of the overall competitiveness of the car, are you on a pace with the Red Bull?
No, not yet. I think Bahrain was a strange weekend for them. It was an extremely good weekend for us, and now we arrived to China, which is a front limited track. Bahrain is a very rear limited track, and that played a bit to our strengths. Now we're arriving to a front limited track, and we know we had a couple of issues there that we need to keep progressing on. And if we manage to be strong in China, then I will start to be a bit more positive about the whole thing, because it means we will be very fast in Australia, in Bahrain, and in China, which is 3 completely different tracks.
Australia had looked very good for Haas. Bahrain was looking great until the Grand Prix started, and then it all came undone. Grosjean took contact on the opening lap. Magnussen just had no race pace at all. Big question marks then. A lot of head scratching going on at Haas after the Bahrain Grand Prix, but the test couldn't have come at a better moment for these guys to really get their heads down and try and figure out what had gone wrong. We'll put that question to Romain Grosjean, who of course didn't experience those same problems as Kevin, but I think probably would have done, had his race gone a little bit better, shall we say.
We got lucky that Bahrain test came just after the Grand Prix, and it was a tough Grand Prix, so there were a lot of things that we wanted to try, and we did, and it was very positive. We got some good answers there, which was nice to have and bring some confidence in the team. So I think qualifying, we're not worried, and we've always been fast, but obviously in the race I didn't get the chance to compete, but I don't think it would have been an awful lot different from Kevin. So I think we did some good testing, and it's very rare to have those in-season testing, so it was the perfect moment for us.
Should the likes of Red Bull be worried? Because everybody in the midfield thinks you guys have a clear advantage within that pack.
Well, we'll try to use it as much as we can. I think the packing order is very difficult to define, or almost impossible to define until we are in Barcelona, where everyone is going to bring like a B-spec car. So once Barcelona is on and we see where we are, I think we could be a bit more confident of our advantage. But we'll see this weekend. We'll do our best, and I think we're going to enjoy it.
4 teams left, and I think a team that will be the most annoyed after the early races are the guys down here at Renault. The car clearly has got potential. You look at Hülkenberg's amazing drive from pretty much the back of the field through, but then retirement at the end of the race. Both cars retiring with just a couple of laps left to run. It has been a frustrating start to the season for these guys. I think they all know the pace potential is there. Speaking to Daniel Ricciardo, he knows the potential is there. He's still got to find himself at one with the car, frustrated. Similarly, in testing, he was looking forward to going testing to get himself more, at one with the car. But of course, sod's law, the day that he was in the car was the day that it rained in Bahrain. When does it rain in Bahrain? Apparently the week of testing. So massively annoyed that he didn't get more of a feel for the car. He wanted to get 100 plus laps on it, but didn't. Anyway, they've learned a few things about the car. He's starting to feel a little bit better, but he's admitted it's going to take him time. And one of the big things that he needs that front end under control. He doesn't have confidence in the front end of the car, and you could see that in his contact with Nico Hülkenberg. Again, he admitted as much to us earlier today. He said, look, once I get the front end of the car dialed in like I had it at Red Bull, I will have the confidence in the car. I'll be able to push it. I'll be able to race it, and that's what I need. So that's a hopeful change that he will be making to the car. Let's talk instead to Nico Hülkenberg. As you said, same kind of thing. There is that little frustration, I think, after these opening races, that there's potential in this package, but it's just not quite coming to fruition.
Of course, it's frustrating. Yeah, that that the car parks itself up 3 laps to the end. I had those points booked on my account, and then it got taken away very rapidly, which obviously is not pretty and was not nice, and it was a hard one to swallow after all the hard work that we've put in, and after such a great recovery drive from 17 to 6. That was really cool and great fun, that Grand Prix. So of course, it was disappointing, but of course you have to move on at some point, and now we focus ahead on this weekend. But like you say, I think both Melbourne, but more so Bahrain, the positive news are we have good pace in the car. Was overtaking a fair few cars on track in Bahrain, and we're looking quite strong. Obviously, apart from, let's say, Mercedes and Ferrari, but then I think our pace was even pretty close to the Red Bull there.
How much of it's car? How much of it is what's in the back of the car?
It's always the combination of both, but for sure on the engine side, there's been a big push over the winter, and we've really taken a big step forward in terms of power. You can definitely feel that, despite having more drag on the car, etc. There's been really pushed and worked on a lot, which is very positive. Of course, the reliability side we still need to fix a little bit. And
has that been the price for the increase in power?
I guess perhaps you could say so. Nothing comes for free in this world, But I'd rather have the power and then trying to manage your reliability and fix it during the season. But it's really important to that we got that increase in power, because that really put us on the back foot so often at the end of last year. And if you have it, it just puts you in a different ball game, in a different position. You can attack much more, and I'm confident that Renault can catch up and manage it.
Is there a worry that with so many issues so early in the season, you're going to have to do a couple more of those comeback drives later on in the year?
Yeah, potentially. I don't know. That's all, speculating what happens in the future, what, if, how, what, I don't know. I just deal with the past now, head down and push as hard as you can.
Can you get in there, Steve? You can actually see the paint lines on it. Probably can't see that. The coolest thing though, look, is that the Mapfre logo's actually on Daniel's as well. It's just stuck on gaffer tape. That's quite cool. I'm not sure it's aerodynamically sound. You're not supposed to stick things on helmets anyway, are you? Might not pass sort of FIA. Are the FIA going to allow it? I'll allow it. I don't work for the FIA. Right, Red Bull. Really tough one in Bahrain for Red Bull. Both Max and Pierre stating that they weren't happy with the rear of the car. It was very loose on both of them. Talking to who should we put in the show? Should we put in Max or Pierre? Let's put Pierre in actually. Spoke to Max and he said that they found something with the car in testing that allowed them to unlock the knowledge of what had gone wrong. And actually, if they figured that out earlier in the weekend, it would have completely turned for them. So. Let's ask Pierre what that actually was then, and whether it would have cured the ills that he is feeling with the car, in which he is still not feeling 100%.
I think the test was really positive. Managed to do a lot of laps with Max and also with Dan on the second day, and we clearly found some direction and learned more about the car and this new aero package. So it seems like all the time we go out on track, we discover new things, and I think we should make a step this weekend.
Max said that you guys discovered a basic setup issue with the car after Bahrain, which could have changed a lot.
Yeah, we found a couple of issues and things in the beginning of the year. Things didn't really come our way, and hopefully this weekend we're going to be able to have a clean weekend, put everything together, and be able to show the true potential of our packaging.
Is that what you need? Do you need to just sort of sort out the rear end, stop it from sliding, get something that's a little bit more together?
Yeah, I think this rear is quite tricky and quite naughty, but I think we will try to improve it. And I mean, there are so many things going on at the factory, like team is pushing massively to improve it, and as I say, we found some good direction, and hopefully we're going to be able to show this weekend.
Does that complicate things for you, coming from Toro Rosso over here? If they've got so many things going on, is it tough for you to figure out which ones are the right ones?
I think it's more like an advantage and positive thing, because this team can react so fast when there are things to improve, and it's quite impressive, like the speed and the number of things which can change in only a couple of days or a couple of weeks. So I think it's always new race, new little bits there and there, and I think overall it makes it better.
And so, to the story of the Bahrain Grand Prix, Ferrari with their mission win now logos. Win now? I don't know. Back on the car in Bahrain. It very nearly was win now. Will it be win now in China? Or should we stop using the win now thing? Yeah, a little bit. I mean, Leclerc did everything right, didn't he? Pole position. He then obviously had the bit of the bad start, got his way through. Team said, if you could wait a couple of laps before you pass Seb, that would be great. He didn't. He just went for it.
Of course, I think, as I've shown in Australia, the interest of the team is extremely important. But in this particular situation, I think I had quite a big pace advantage at this moment of the race, and I had the opportunity in the straight, and I just didn't see myself lifting and staying behind. So I just went for the opportunity. It was a safe pass, and I went for it.
Take you back to Australia. You were asked about number one and number two in the team at Ferrari, and you said there needs to be a number one and a number two, but in a 50-50 situation, it's my job to turn things around in my favour. Did your performance in Bahrain throughout the weekend do just that? Have you turned things around in your favour, and arguably should you be the number one at Ferrari?
As I said, we are only at the second race, but anyway, this question has more to be asked to Mattia. I'm not making the decision on that.
And so we finish off down here at Mercedes. Valtteri Bottas still leads the Formula One World Championship. Lewis Hamilton it was who was the winner last time out in Bahrain, but both drivers know that was a win that they inherited, but first you have to finish. It's all well and good being the fastest car on track, but if you don't have the reliability, you ain't going to win squat. And that ultimately is, I think, the positive that Mercedes have taken out of that Bahrain Grand Prix, although they will know and be under no illusions that if Bahrain is to be the norm, then it is what we saw in testing, and Ferrari does have an advantage. Let's speak to Lewis, let's speak to Valtteri on what they've learned from these opening two races and where they realistically see themselves coming into this 1000th Formula One Grand Prix.
I don't know whether we would have made many improvements here. We've not brought particularly upgrades or anything like that, so you're not going to see a big difference, I don't think, coming into this weekend. It should be quite similar to the previous weekend. but conditions are different, temperatures are different here. Track demands something different from the car, so I have no idea how we're gonna perform here, but hopefully it's close between us all.
In Chinese culture, red is a very auspicious colour. It symbolises luck, joy, celebration, happiness, fertility actually as well. But how much do you think the red on your cap might outweigh the two red cars this weekend?
Well, it's quite a small amount of red compared to on those two Ferraris. So, but I've got a good backing here from the Team LH China. So I'm less reliant on the red and more on just hard work and diligence as a team. And this is, in the past, has been a good hunting ground for me. So I'm going to hopefully get the car in the right place this weekend and have a better weekend I had last time here. It was pretty poor last year. I anticipate this weekend it is still quite cool, although it's actually not so bad today. It's quite cold yesterday. It's a lot cooler than the previous year, and also I think the track gets older and older and it gets more and more aggressive on the tyres. So it'll be interesting to see. I have no idea how it's going to be, but I'm always wishing for this day to go super quick so I can get in the car on a Friday.
For sure, for every weekend with a right mentality, trying to win the race on Sunday. But we had a good race going on last year. It was quite many things happening, and with a safety car in the end we lost it. But it's a different season, and the competitiveness between the teams is different to last year. So, this year we were strong in Australia. Ferrari was strong in Bahrain. So who knows what happens here? But we are definitely in the fight, even though we've seen big improvements from Ferrari. It's a track with very long straights, and straight line power, straight line speed is really important here. But there's corners as well. But we know they are going to be strong coming this weekend, and hopefully then we have our strengths in other places. But definitely we can see an area that we need to push forward with the development.
So that is your lot from Paddock Pass for the pre-race edition anyway, here in Shanghai. We've got so much to look forward to this weekend. As we always do in these early races, trying to figure out what the lay of the land is. Again, another very different circuit from what we saw in Bahrain and what we saw in Australia. The weather, I've got to tell you, it's really cold at the moment and promises to stay pretty nippy throughout the weekend. How is that going to affect tyre wear? How is that going to affect race strategy? Will it be another Ferrari weekend? Will Mercedes be able to pull that little gap back to them? What have Red Bull and Honda got up their sleeves? And can Renault start punching? That midfield battle looking very exciting as well. We can't wait. Think it's going to be quite an exciting race. Certainly if last year's was anything to go by, it'll be a cracker. Cannot wait for this, the 1000th Formula One Grand Prix, as we begin the next millennium afterwards. But for now, that's your lot from Paddock Pass. Enjoy the weekend, and we will see you later.